Hello, and welcome back to another stream. Today we're going to be continuing with the Metric-Imperial converter project that we were working on yesterday. Be doing some calculations and trying to figure out how I'm going to get the fractions to work, and I was actually surprised that it's relatively simple. I think I was overcomplicating things yesterday. In light of full honesty, full transparency, I was actually going to create a regex that was going to detect if the input value was a fraction and then do calculations based on that. And I was like, what? That makes literally no sense at all. So I just realized I could just use division, because that's essentially what it is. Division, right? And that's what we're going to do. So all of this should be math expressions that can be calculated. All of these based on these values. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a speed run. Let's see how fast we can get these things working and sorted. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. So yesterday I wanted to figure out what the unit was. Get the unit, right? And let's see if there's a better way of doing that. So based on what the input is, I'm wondering if I can do a filter actually, now that I think about it. We could probably get away with a filter, because I can do whatever the user puts in, have that in our array. I think it's going to have to be, I think all of these are going to have to be outside of it now that I think about it. So we stick this. So list of valid units. Okay, so that's valid units, right? Now we have access to it because it's like global scope. Because I might need to use it somewhere else. If I don't end up using it somewhere else, we'll local scope it. So my plan is, when we get the unit, we're gonna do valid units dot for, actually we could just do filter directly on it. Can't we? I'm just thinking now. Because that will return an array, or a value rather. So filter it by, I think we can just do result. So if result is, and then maybe to lowercase it. No, not to locale, to lowercase, that one. So then if we put in liter, one of these, and it exists in here, we should get a match, right? I'm just seeing how I can chain this. Because of for each, we're still gonna have to push that out of it. And we will still need a function to return the value from it. And then pass that on to it, I guess. So we would need something like... What are we trying to filter again? Do we have valid unit is the array of them? Or just is valid unit is gonna be a... We need a return. And also, what are we going to pass in? The unit. And then unit has to exist. So this is where the logic will have to be checked into there. So is it better than a for each? Let me just look quickly. Okay, I need to find items, right? So what options do we have to find an item in an array? We can just use array.find, I guess, right? So if we did valid units dot find unit, so return valid units dot find the unit that was passed in, and then take is valid unit and pass it into the filter, passing in is valid unit as the condition, and then giving result and 2 lowercasing it. That should essentially be fine. And this will complain about that. Yeah. Cool. I was right. So hopefully that will work. And then if we do unit, is that already used? Okay, it's not. And then log the filtered unit. So I want to see what the unit is now, because then we don't need to use the switch. We should just be able to filter. Let's see if that actually works. Controllers, convert handler. Okay, so if we enter 4.5 kg, right? kg is not a function at array.find. What? kg is not a function, wait. Valid units. Oh, because we're already applying it, we don't need to use find. That was the whole point. Filter does that built in. So I've got to rethink this. So if this is kind of a find already, we're filtering based on a condition. What would the condition be? I want to see what it finds by default. Is it going to go through every single one? So the unit is kg. So that's the callback function. And that's what we're giving it. And then the filtered unit, that's what's giving the error. Because we're not returning anything now either. So maybe filter is not what we need to use. Can we just do find unit and then valid units.find, the unit that was passed in. The found unit. Oh, but the issue with this was we wanted every kg to be a kilogram. That was what the issue was. Because yes, we can find it, but they all need to be linked. So yes, a switch would work in this case. Or we can have an object where the key, so we have a key, so it looks something like this. So it looks like this. So kilogram and then loop through each of its keys. Do I give it a new object? Because then it's either I do it like this and then duplicate it for each one. kg, kg. So then it ends up looking like this. And then what you'd need to do is go through each, loop through the object, and find a key and return the parent. Would that be a possibility? Would that be too complex compared to just writing a switch statement? The switch statement just feels like very basic. It's almost like a if else if, you know, it like gets super complex. I'm just trying to figure out how I could do this in a neat way in an object format. Because your main one would want to be like kilogram, because that's what we'll always use. So you can use kg or kilogram, but we'll always return kilogram as the value, because we're going to use the scientific, the SI name, the unit name. So I'm just thinking, if it's like that, then it's got two children, kg and kilogram. And if it finds a match, so let's say the unit value is kg, it finds kg, then it needs to return kilogram. We would have to test and see if that's a possibility, obviously. So let's duplicate this, have that out there, and this is simply going to be unit equal to valid, no, it's going to be find unit result dot to lowercase. And then in this, it's going to be object dot keys valid units. So that should return all the keys. And we need kg. While we're testing, yeah, we are testing with kg. Cool, so if I do that, the found unit is kilogram. Because there's two of them. I want to also test with there being, what is the other one? Let's add another one, such as gallon, maybe? Let's add gallon before. So gallon. And it also has gal, like so. So that should give me a list of those objects. So I should have two of them now. Gallon, kilogram. Cool. So we have the two objects as a reference. Then if we loop through those, so we further loop through that. Then if we do object.keys, valid units, right, dot values. I think that should return the list of values. No, actually I'd need that values on the actual object. I just feel the easiest is going to be the switch statement at this point. Okay, there you go. So the found key values, gal, gallon, kg, kg, kilogram, kilogram. So that's what we find. And then looping through all... Wait, doesn't contains exist? Object dot... Wasn't there contains? Because there's keys, there's values. Because I could do if the key with the in operator. I think I can just literally do that directly. So literally an if, I think the key is unit. Unit is a string. So if unit in valid units, so we could do something like this, the key exists. I need the key though. Wouldn't that work with, what if I change this to units, right? So the list of units. That wouldn't help if it's singular, like unit 1, unit 2, unit 3. The only way I could see this working if I do it something like this. So kilogram, and then kilogram, right? So I'd have to essentially do it for every single one. like so. Because then you have unit, scale, kg, kilogram, kilogram. Then I could do something if unit, and the unit that passed in is kg, in valid units. Then I will find that. But I think we should do has own property, just to be safe. What are we waiting for? The key exists. It should have said that, the key exists, no? So result is kg to lowercase. So it'd been lowercase kg. If unit, which is kg, in valid units. I wonder if it's because it's now trying to index the array. Because they're both the same name. It should be local scope though. No. I really feel that we should just do the switch thing. Like, we would have been done by now. I just don't like the repetition of it. But at least it's good, because objects I haven't had to really index that much. We know pretty much so much on arrays, but objects is something that is lacking. And it's weird why this wouldn't work, because if unit, unless I'm getting this wrong, but that should have been the string value. So if unit and I'm checking valid units, yeah. Oh, I just realized something now. It needs to be a string. I think I need to do it like this, if I'm not mistaken. You have to put it in brackets, was it? The ES6 version? Let's just check that. Because I know you had to check it as a string. So if I had to do something like this, if kg, was it kg? Yeah, so if kg in valid units, this should work. Wait, that's so weird. Store doesn't find it. The key exists. The only reason for that I can think is that this is taking priority again. That is so weird. Let's see, are we even getting into the... No, we are, because else we wouldn't be able to do these things. The unit, the found units, the found keys. We wouldn't be able to do all of those things. So if kg in valid units, and there is k... Oh... I see what I did wrong now. That's, I can either... Basically it needs to be like this. I have it nested. There's units. I would either have to do valid units.units, or I could just do this. Okay, now it should find it. I thought I was going crazy for a moment. The key exists. There we go. Now, does that help us? We know that the key exists. Now what? Because we know it's true. I mean, it's a way to quickly test if it's valid, but we still can't link it if I wanted to do it that way, which is they enter kg, we give them back kilogram. Because yes, we could test it quickly. Does it exist? Yes, no. That would be a quick way to do that. But we still need to return the mapped value of it. Unless... It's just getting way too complex for such a simple problem. Because I could have just the index, like I did before, kilogram, and then the keys under that, kilogram, kilogram, and kg. But then you're looping through an object with sub-objects, or like the children of the object. And if I did the array approach, you'd, unless it was a multi-dimensional array. And then have a for each. And then loop through. So you'd have kilogram, and then under it you'd have kilogram and kg, and you'd loop through that, and if you find a match, return it. Well, return the first index. Could that essentially work? Let's try set it up quickly. Because I think the object way is just, I don't know, I like arrays more. Wait, and what about filter? When we were trying to filter, what went wrong there? Because we did try to filter is valid unit. Oh, because you didn't know what it was linked to. You could still return it, but you didn't know what it was linked to. Okay, so if we have gallon, gallon is going to be the main one, right? So you need an array with gallon being the first one. Would you then have an array with gal like that? Would it look like that essentially? And then you would have the kilogram, right? Like so. And then an array with the other versions. Kg and kilogram. Just want to see if this is what we want to be doing. Will that work? So gallon, and then it will have an array, gal. Then you have kilogram, which has an array, kg and kilogram. I'm just wondering if it has to be in an array. Let's test this quickly. Log the array test. Valid units dot for each unit. The current unit, and just stick unit there and just see what that's going to iterate through. Okay, so the current unit, gallon and gal, kilogram, kg, and kilogram. Okay, so that's the outermost. So what I'm thinking is we don't need that array. That array is unnecessary. I think it's an extra layer. I think I need gallon and then an array to loop through that. And then kilogram, kg, kilogram. I think. Let me just test until I'm sure that's fine. So there's gallon, and then there's gal, kilogram, and then there's... That's the thing, how will you get the index? Because that's index 0, that's index 1, that's index 2, that's index 3. That's not going to work, because you need to know they're all part of one thing. And right now they're not, they're separate. Okay, so that's not going to work, they need to be in an array. So that's the outermost loop. So that needs to be unit array. And then you need to, inside of that, unit array dot for each. I think this is the unit now. And then the current unit array. Because this will allow us to basically have as many as we need. Wait, I missed something. What did I miss? Oh, I can't loop through that because it's not an array, can I? Units array is not a... It's a string that gets returned. Why am I overcomplicating this for myself? I think we should come back and refactor this, honestly. Because now I'm just going to waste time with this, when I could just come back afterwards and refactor it. So let's just, as much as I don't want to, go with the switch case. And then we come back to it afterwards, if we can refactor it. So L, liter. I don't want to go this way, but it is what it is. Let's see the list there. So the first three things that we should have is gal, where's result? So we have gallon, and then we need kilograms. So we need kg, kilogram, or kilogram. These are one of the accepted types, and it will return that. And then after that is kilometers. So kilometer or km, and we are returning kilometer, and then it's liters, and after liter it is, what about pounds? We need mile, so mi and mile. And then finally pounds. Pounds is going to be last. So LB or pound, like so. So gallon, kilogram, kilometer, liter, mile, and pound. Otherwise invalid unit. So that's essentially what should give us the same thing over and over, no matter which unit value you enter. Also, do I have to... yeah. Okay. So then 4.5 kg should give us kilogram. Cool. And if I put mi, we should get mile. Cool. And if I enter lb, we should get pound. Perfect. So no matter which one you enter, and if it's something invalid like fx, we should get invalid unit. Great. Do you see how quick that was? Damn it! We tried at least, okay? We tried. We came back to the switch. And the reason why I don't like the switches, imagine you had 20 or 30 different options. Can you imagine like how insane it would be to like list every single option? That is why I would have had an array and loop through the array and do some magic based on that. But it gets complex, especially if you're going to do like a 2D array, then you need to loop through an array of an array and then get those values. And I mean, it's doable, it's just, you know, a whole lot more complex. And I just feel like I'm losing track of what's important right now, which is just, you know, getting it to work. And if it doesn't need such a complex thing, then let's keep it simple and actually finish it. So great, that's going to give us the unit. Then in get return unit, we basically need the opposite of if it's a kg, then it's a mile. You know? Because You entered 7.5 kg. You want to know what it is in pounds. So how are we going to do that now? How do we flip that? Okay, I know how. So get return unit gives you init unit. Let's see what is passed in. Get return unit under API. So the return unit. So the init unit is the get unit, and then the return unit is based on init unit. Great. So we can have a switch again. If it's this, then it's that, because we're always going to get just the one. Perfect. So we're going to have a switch. It's not going to be this long. So I don't think I even need this. It's just going to be init unit, because that should have already been processed. And if the case is kilogram, oh no, if the case is gallon, which is what it's going to be, then, well, what if it's the other way around? Yeah, we need all of them. If it's a gallon, then result becomes, it's gallon to what? Liters, right? Liter. Gallon to liter. And then if it's kilogram, it is pound, because pound to kilogram. And then if it's kilometer, then it is mile. And if it is liter, then it is gallon. So it's just opposites of those. And then if it's mile, then it's kilometer. And if it's pound, then it is kilogram. And then, do we have a default? Do we need a default? I don't think so. I don't think we need a default. Just break if there's a default, I guess. I don't know. And then return the result. And then in API, where we're logging things, we're also going to have return unit which is going to be return unit. Okay, so we should get the exact opposite of what we put in. So if we said, well, let's see what happens if we had fx. Oops, I stuck this in the wrong place now. Wait, did I? Convert handler? What is this? Oh, this was the API. In the API, that needs to happen, and in the convert handler, this needs to happen. So fx should give us get num, get unit, invalid unit, return unit, undefined. Should we just default invalid unit? I think we should. Just so we could default to that as well. So then both of them are invalid, great. And then if I were to change it to, let's say, kg, we should get kilogram, but we should actually get pound back. So you'll see that here, get unit is kilogram, return unit is pound. Perfect. And if I enter something like L, just L, it should set it to liter. There it is, liter, and then return unit is gallon. Perfect. So that's working. Now that we got that set up, convert. The conversion is the most important part. So we're going to know it's liter, it's going to be one of those. Well, actually it can be all of these. So it's going to be a switch again. I hate using all these switches. But we could use a switch again. Based on the init unit. If it's a gallon, result is going to equal to... So if it's a gallon, it's gallon to liters, right? So it's going to be init num. So if it's a gallon, so there's 3.78541 gallons to a liter. So it's the number times... Wait, so you come in with a gallon. So isn't it division then? Init num divided by gal to L? Because it's X amount of gallons. It's not liters. I think that's right. Well, we could test it now. I'm just going to do the one, gallons. And then in the API, I want to write a check to see. Which is going to be return num. Let's see what that gives us. So I said gallon, right? So I'm gonna put 1 gallon and see what we get. It's 0.26 whatever. Okay, so let's do 1 gallon to liter and let's see what we get. It's 3.7. Oh, so it is the other way around. So 1 gallon is 3. So trying to do it the other way around, 1 liter. I think I did, I confused myself. So if it's 1 liter, will I get the... Then it will be... Wait, what? Return number is gallon. Oh, because... I know why I did that. Oh, so if you're putting a gallon in, you want... Oh, okay, so it is times. If you're putting a gallon in, you want to know how many liters. So then it is number. Number of gallons times. Okay. So then, let's try this out. So I'm saying 1 gallon is how many liters? Is 3.78541. 1 gallon to liter is it the same? 3.78, yeah it is. Cool. Okay, so that seems to be fine. Now let's do the same for the rest. If it's a kilogram, it's 2 pounds, right? So it would be init num times lbs 2 kg. Wait, it's the other way around now. It's a kg. I think this is wrong. I think this is where we use division. I just want to double check. So 1 kg, let's just see, is 0.45. Oh, it actually, it might be right. 1 kg 2 pound. Oh, it is wrong, because I only got 0.4. It's the other way around, yeah, so it is division. Okay, so when it's the... So when it's the metric system, the metric units, then we divide, division. When it's imperial, we multiply. So that should give us about 2.2 something. Yeah, there you go. Cool, perfect. So now that we've figured that out, kilometer is metric. So we already discovered that it is init num divided by miles to kilometer. And if it's a liter, again metric, it will be init num divided by gallon to liter. This is imperial, so it will be init num times miles to kilometer. If it's pound, again imperial, it will be init num times lbs to kg, and yeah, that should be it. So 3 multiplication, 3 division. And let's test it now. 22 lb is how many kg? Really? Is 22 pounds only 9.9 kg? Let's see. 22 lb to kg. Apparently it is 9.9790,239. Not quite precise. So now I want to test something as well, fractions. Because from what I remember, it should just work out the box, because I was thinking of something different. Half a pound, so 0.5. How many kgs? Why is the number 2? That's the thing. It was supposed to... So the number is not 2. The problem with our regex was that we didn't take into account that there can be a forward slash. So get num needs to take that into account. I wonder if there's a evaluate. If you had to use... Because if I did that in my console, if we literally just did 1 divided by 2, you'd get a half, right? It's our regex now that's giving us an issue. So let me see if I can just add on to our regex. Because it's pretty simple as it is. Okay, so that's working as it is. Then I wanted to match half LB, but now it's only going to match 2 LB. We can see that. So we need to say, hey, there can also be that in there. There can be a dot, or there can be a fraction, there can be a dot. So now what do we get? Let's check in the details. We'll get a half, and we'll get LB. So that works. So we literally just updated to that. Cool. And let's see what it does to our function then. So half a LB is not a number. And let's see what happens in getNum. It returns the result, which is half, right? So getNum, and then when we do the calculation in convert, initNum is a string. Oh, you know what I think it could be? What if we did, let me just see this in the console. What if we did a string, right? Because there is two number. No, it's just number. I think it's just number. Yeah, so it's just number. So if we did number, a half like this as a string, right? It's not a number. So the first one's not a number, but interesting. So I could do 1 like that, but I can't do 1 divided by 2 because it's essentially a fraction that needs to happen, needs to be evaluated. So what we're getting here, we can actually see the num so let's get rid of that. So you'll see here the num that gets in. Wait, where's the num? Oh, there's the num. It's a half. You see that? And that's a string. So it literally is just 1 divided by 2. And I can't use number on it. Is there a math? Math dot... Let's see, what math functions do we have? Expression. Wait, no, that's exponent. I thought that was expression because I was looking for expression. There has to be a way to... Let me Google it. JavaScript evaluate fraction string in math. I probably should have put math in there as well. Evo? No, I'll never use Evo. Oh, so you're gonna have to split it, yeah, and get the 2 values. Things to consider: division by 0. If the user gives you an integer instead of a fraction, or any other invalid input. There is a library that I saw that we could use.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at, the library master.js. Can you use reduce? Really? That's not always going to be the case though, because it can have so many different ones. That's why reduce might be a better option. Let's try this quickly. So the half is 0.25. Okay, so that worked. But what happens if it's 1.5? So 1.5 LB. Will it be 1.5? Like we hope it will? Or 1.025? Oh, why is it 11? Oh no, it's doing 11 divided by 2. And that's, yeah. That's just wrong either way. Never mind, it wasn't even our input. Will this work? Not a number, yeah. So it will literally only work for the fraction part. So this will work for every fraction in there. So it's going to split it by that. So we're going to have a 1 and we're going to have that, and then we're going to have p divided by c. But what about the remainder part? Let's see something. This split. String.split. I want to see what is splitting by and what we're getting, because maybe we can get the remainder and then just add that up. So the split is 1. Oh, so it's basically 1, 1 and 2. So it's not 11. Damn. So what if we try this? A equal to string dot split. Split it by that, right? The A. I think it's going to have everything else. We need to figure out the other way around the remainder. Because the A is, again, that thing. Because the initial value is 1 space 1. What if we split by A equal to string dot split by space, right? Because there might be a space, and then B is A dot split. And then let's log the A and the B. Oh, because it's not an A. It's an array now. So I'd have to do A dot probably join. Join by what? Do I just join it by the space again? That would give us the exact same starting value, wouldn't it? So the A is 1, and there's a half. Oh look, so that does give us the whole numbers and the half numbers. So how do we get rid of... I've got an idea. C equal to A dot for each. It's going to be crazy. If you can split it. Right, let's first see what I'm logging. Because I need to get this. This is like... So it's first 1, and then it's a half. Okay. I don't think this is going to work, but I can try. If val dot split. Would this work? And then just put the val inside of that, like so. So that it will only show the half if it's splittable. No, it still shows both. Oh, I think it's if val dot contains. Is it contains? So it has to contain that, then we log it. Is val not a string now? We need includes. That's why. For the string version. There. Okay. So now we only get fraction values, and then inside of that B is an array, but an empty array. And then all we're doing is b.push val.split by the forward slash. So then B, A should have the whole numbers, B should have the split numbers, the fractions. So there's A, 1.5, B has 1 and 2, which is 1.5, cool. Except now A should not have the half. Maybe const C equal to also an empty array. Else C.push val. So we only want B and C. B will have the fractions, C will have the whole numbers. Let's see, B has 1 and 2, that's fractions, and C has 1. Great. So then you do the fractions, and then afterwards you add from C. Or you could do it the other way around, it doesn't matter. And then you return the array, which is B, B.reduce, name this to fractions. Fractions.reduce PC P divided by C. And then should we just add afterwards plus so that's total fractions and total integers equal to integers.reduce previous current previous plus current. And then finally return total integers plus total fractions. That should give you 1.5 in theory. Hopefully. See what happens. It gives you 11,2. Why? There's a fraction, there's the integers. Wait, hold up. Total Total fractions. What is the total value for that? Total fractions. And total integers. Because those should have added up. Fractions were fine just a second ago. Total fractions. Oh. Let's store an array. Can we split by them? Why are the fractions in an array inside of an array? Fractions.push. Oh, because we're creating it. So split returns an array. That's gonna be so tricky now. So here's the thing, if the value includes a divisor for it, should we just merge the arrays? Should we just array.concat instead of, because it's going to return an array, right? So instead of pushing, should we just concat, knowing that split will return an array? Okay, what? The fractions is now fractions.concat. Oh, because you're taking that and then you concaten. You need an actual, but this is not an array yet. But this will, the return value will, ooh, that is so confusing. What do we get when we do this? Because I'm pretty sure we should get an array. We get 1 and we get 2, which is an array, right? That's an array. So we are getting an array. So why can't we concat? Do I have to make it an array by doing like array? Do I need to do that? Is that what I need to do for it to see it? No, fractions are still empty. So we can't do concat. We could do push, but then we got another array. Unless it's fractions equal to fractions.concat. I think I might need to do it this way. see what that does. There you go. The fractions are now 1 and 2. And then the integers are 1. Total fractions 0.5, total integers 1. You get 10.5 because... Are these numbers or are these strings? I think it's a string because that's why you put the 1 before and then you got 10.5, which is wrong. So what we essentially need to do is parse int plus parse int. Actually, it's not parse int, it's parse float, right? Can a fraction have... And then you're going to complain because you want the radix, so 10. So then that should give us 1.5. Fuck? Everything was fine? What happened? Parse int plus parse float. It's complaining about something else now. The fractions are empty again, but it literally was fine. Just what? Is it like intermittent? So it's working 1.5. Does it randomly just stop working? Or was that just a one-time thing? Because that worries me now. 1 minute it was fine. Next minute it's not fine. How does that work? Anyway, that seems to be fine. And what if I do 1 and a 5.5? Would that be 6.5? That's 151 divided by 2. 1, 5. So it's 15. But where's the number? Oh, because I didn't actually add it. I keep testing in the wrong place. 1, 5.5. Will that give us 6.5? It gives us 15.5 because there's the half and there's the 1 and the 5. But I don't think it's adding them. Well, it is adding them, like literally adding them as a string. So where we reduce, it's supposed to be P plus C. Wait, total integers is 15. Why? Because it's a string? Should I just number them or parse int? Probably just parse int. And then I could just do something like this. So then that should be 6. Or not. Hold on. Previous plus current. Unless we have to do them individually. So parse int like that plus parse int. So it might just be cursing the entire thing as 15. Yeah, there you go. Now it's 6, and now you get 6.5. Great. So even if you add 1, 5, and let's say we add a quarter here, 1/4 and 1/2, which should be 0.75. So this should be 6.75. If the quick maths in my head is correct. Not that it's, you would ever do it that way. Wait, it's 6.125? Did I calculate wrong? 1/4 and a half Oh. Because it's 0. Wait. How does that work? What is total fraction doing? Total fraction is P divided by C for each one. Wonder if it's a pass float issue. It's getting so complex. Oh my god. Because a quarter and a half is 0.75, so why are we getting... Wait, let's see if we just... What if we just add these? Quarter and a half. I don't think it's doing them in order, is it? I think it's doing it one at a time. And it's trying to... Okay, I think I've got an idea. See what I'm trying to do there. You know, if someone's going to come in here and literally want the value of 1 space 5 a quarter and a half, does this even work in like Google? If we enter kg to lb, will Google even be able to handle that? No, it doesn't. Not by default. Huh. I'm feeling like I'm just putting way too much effort into this. Because at most you'll put 1.5 as a fraction, or 1.5. Is anyone ever going to do this? This is where I get carried away, and I spend so much time. Because now what the issue is, we're reducing... The reduce works for 1. Like a one-time, you know, fraction. Was there a thing for invalid number? There is. If my number is invalid, returned with will invalid number. So should we just not worry and just deal with it as... as that, and then you're expected to, you can return as many integers as you want, but the fraction, there can only be one fraction. Because then you'll get 6.5, because it's 1 and a 5, and then the fraction. When we ever have multiple fractions in something, it'll be like a quarter cup. It won't be a quarter cup and like a third of a cup, you know what I mean? Or it won't be a fifth plus eight, it'll be a seventh of a cup, an eighth of a cup. So you will just use the right fraction. No recipe or anything is ever going to be like a quarter cup and a third cup of sugar. Like, what? Or like, yeah, just, it doesn't make sense. So I think I'm just overthinking it. Will you ever have a recipe that'll be like a quarter cup of butter and a quarter cup of butter, when it could just be like a half a cup of butter? So I'm just overthinking it. We're just going to have a single fraction and that's it. Screw it. So do we still need A? And do we still need fractions to be... Yeah, we do. So it's either if we can split it, or if the value includes a forward slash, assuming it's, you know, a fraction, then we will concatenate the fractions array, and the value within will be value.split, which returns an array. So we're concatenating fractions to the newly created array from split. Else, we just push the integer, because we know it doesn't include a fraction, so we just push that directly to integers. Then we reduce fractions to get that final value, which is the fraction division. Otherwise, if it's the integers, we just basically adding them. For each one, just add them. And yeah, that should literally be it. So pass the integers and pass the float, and then that's your final value. So I don't need that anymore. So these are the initial values. Oh, we still need them defined, right? What if I, instead of A, what if I did it directly, which is string.split by that.for each? Because then it should, in theory, be exactly the same, and we can get rid of that A variable. Should still be the same. Yeah, there you go. So then it's string.split for each if value fractions, otherwise integers, and then total fractions equal to fractions.reduce, and then total integers equal to integers.reduce. And then we just pass that to, and that's your final value. We could just call this fraction. Well, isn't that the decimal then? because that would be the decimal. So yeah, that would be the decimal. And then total integers equal to what did they name it? Just call it, I don't think, integer is reserved, isn't it? Is integer reserved? No, it's not. So it's the integer and the decimal, and that's what you return. And then it's fractions to decimal, basically. And we also somehow need to make sure that the value that we return, so the 151.5 LB, we get them with the spaces still. And that's something that I forgot about because we trim them. So I need to somehow be able to feed that in. And that comes from init num already. I think we shouldn't be trimming with init num. So where get num is, we shouldn't be splitting. Like, I think this entire thing is pointless now, what we did earlier. There, the num, 1.5. And then we need to pass that in. I think this is going to be something I have to continue tomorrow. This got way more complex than I expected. But essentially, what we'll do is init num will be what we need it to be now. So then you'll put in init num, like so. So you give it init num, and then log test value from test, and that should give us what we're looking for. Which in this case, if you enter 1, 5.5, should be 6.5. Test value is 6.5, perfect. So if it's 6 1/3, it should be 6.333, right? 6.3333333, perfect. Cool, yeah. So tomorrow we're gonna have to polish this up. I know it's like leaving things in like an awful state, but yeah, I'll continue things tomorrow. Until then, bye for now.